I'm just gonna say it. I think we need to start directly holding mommy vloggers accountable for selling their children to strangers on the internet. And furthermore, also holding social media platforms accountable for encouraging the monetization of these children. Because when I said this on TikTok recently, I got demonetized for bringing it up. You know who didn't get demonetized? The woman who was selling her unclothed child to strangers on the internet. And I think it says a lot that TikTok was able to easily and quickly demonetize me completely for even mentioning it and allowed her to continue. So let's talk about it today. But before we get into it, if you're new here, hi, I'm Andra. I'm coming over to YouTube because, as I mentioned, I was demonetized on my TikTok account that was one of my main sources of income, unfortunately, for trying to speak up and defend children. So make sure you subscribe and keep supporting over here because hopefully this will do better. But you better believe I'm not going to be silenced on speaking up about things. So if you pay attention to the news and the internet and legislation and things that are happening in the world, you might already know that recently there's been a lot of discourse around the mommy vlogger world because obviously there's a lot of controversy happening over there. And I won't name specific vloggers because I've learned my lesson on that, obviously, but we all know the big ones that have been an issue. You know, the specific ones that are making their little girls, toddlers, and babies dress up, dance, or act in a specific way on camera and then monetizing off of posting it for a specific group of people. And it's been such a hot global topic and issue that in a lot of states, such as here in Minnesota as well recently, legislature and things have been getting passed that ban profiting off of this type of material at all, which is a really good thing. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of states that don't have any legislature against this, and there's just like a lot of loopholes and ways to get around these things. Such as over on TikTok, where I recently got demonetized for speaking up finally and saying this: "Start putting clothing on your children if you're going to post them on the internet," about a mommy, aka auntie vlogger who has been recently heavily associated with the popular hotel chains, the Four Seasons. Because she kept repeatedly posting her small baby/toddler unclothed and in a very specific and curated manner that I've learned from watching all of this discourse and legislature being pushed through. And actually, unfortunately, growing up in my town, there was a country club with a man who got in trouble for this specific stuff as well. So unfortunately, this is not something that I'm unaware of. And also, unfortunately, as a woman who exists on the internet, I've been posting long enough where I've seen weird messages from grown men specifically requesting videos in the style that she was posting this child. So it all started to seem a little bit coincidental at first, but I was ignoring it. But I'm here to share the story of what happened because I think it's genuinely horrible that this stuff is allowed, and we all need to keep addressing it because it's really disturbing, honestly. So first of all, I'm not inherently against moms who are vloggers. I'm against mommy and family vlogs, right, where your sole purpose is to be profiting off of these children. But if anything, if you're going to post your child on the internet, put clothing on your kid before you put it on the internet. The first viral video this girl posted of her niece, the kid was unclothed, and we all, like, it was a meme, right? We all just thought it was an accidental viral video. She posted what she thought was a funny video for her friends. It went viral. We all let it go, right? And here's when I started to think, oh, I think she might actually know exactly what she's doing here and be profiting off of this, like, on purpose, intentionally. So that page was going viral quickly, right? And so then the first time I saw another video of the kid unclothed, I went to the comment section because I was like, 2 in a row is a little bit odd, right? And I saw a bunch of comments of people being like, hey, politely, you might want to just, like, you know, put clothes on the kid, just due to all, like, the strange people on the internet and the things that are happening now. Politely, just really trying, respectfully. So I saw a lot of those happening. And then after the 4th or 5th time I saw it, I went to her page and I noticed that 5 out of the 12 total times she has posted this child, it is not wearing any clothing, and she's like shaking it up and down, or it's sucking grapes off of its fingers, or it has like whipped cream on its face dripping down, like in a way that if you know this is very targeted content. And then I went back to the comment section and I noticed that all of the original comments of people being like politely like, hey, are gone. But interestingly enough, all of the weird and unsettling comments from people with like no profile picture, vague names that are just like strange comments were left up. So there's a very select filtering system happening here, which, like, why are we filtering out people politely trying to like help keep this child safe and not like strange people leaving really disturbing messages about the kid. So that's a pretty big red flag right to start. And then the next thing was that she needed to make it very clear that this was a toddler, not a baby. It was a toddler, not a baby. So, okay, then why are you not putting clothes on it? If it's not a baby, why are we still not clothing? And then she needed everyone to know it was a girl. It was very important that everyone know that this toddler is a girl. They went out and they got bows to put in their hair. They got other girly things, but still not clothing. You can go out and buy specific accessories, but not clothing. Okay, also very weird. And then I went to the page and I looked at it in its entirety, and she had very much so formatted it to look like a mommy vlogger page. And that was a huge red flag to me, which meant that she's aware of mommy vloggers, right? She's aware of the controversy of all the things happening, and yet she is continuing to format her page to look like this. If you've done enough research to be able to format your page to look like mommy vloggers, you've also come across the discourse of what's been happening in the mommy vlogger world, and you should know better than to be continuing to post your child like this, or your niece like this, I suppose. So finally, they posted another video of the child unclothed completely, and they were shaking the child up and down. And that's when I finally decided to call it out. I was like, hey, why do you keep you know better. We all know better. And you know what this mommy vlogger's response to that video I made that went viral on my TikTok account? They went and had me demonetized. Amazingly enough, they didn't get demonetized, right? They're still profiting off of their unclothed child. And then they blocked me, which the blocking I get, that's fair. But then they went and they turned on a very specific comment filter section because, right, people started calling them out in their comments. And they didn't filter out the weird, creepy comments from people still. They were just filtering out the helpful comments. And then they started blocking anyone who would comment on anything, I found out. And then, interestingly enough, after all of this, instead of course correcting at all, a few days later, they went through and tried to find all of my secret alt accounts and block me specifically. They found 3 of them. You have to do a really deep and impressive dive to find those. They didn't get all of them though, honey. I can still see all of your disturbing posts. And then, right after they did that, of course, the reason they did that was they posted a new video of the baby with like whipped cream dripping down its face and shoving food into its mouth, and they really kicked it up a gear. And I truly think it's horrible and disgusting and disturbing that people are allowed to do this and monetize off of that sort of content. And especially that they're so easily able to demonetize those of us who are bold enough to take a stand and try and help children. And you know why I know there's absolutely no excuse that you could come up with at this point that would excuse any of it, even after all this, if you tried to play like the I don't know card? Because after the first video went viral, right, I was talking on the phone with my mother. Now, my mother is a baby boomer. She is in her 60s. She retired in the 90s, right? She was a stay-at-home mom. That's kind of like where her technology knowledge stopped in the world. But like, to the best of her knowledge, she still believes that the internet is for Facebook, Netflix, and that YouTube is just for informational videos. Like, she doesn't know anything about the mommy vlogger universe and all of the discourse happening. Like, she has no knowledge on any of that. And so I tried to explain to her like the viral baby video that was going around. At this point, it's important to note that I didn't even like mention that the baby wasn't wearing any clothes. And her response was really interesting. She went, oh. And she pauses for a moment and she goes, you know, I don't know if I think that people should be allowed to post their kids on platforms and stuff like that, because, you know, Chris, her husband, has been reading a lot of books on AI recently, and I don't know if you know much about AI, but apparently, like, you can do a lot of strange stuff with AI, and I feel like I would just be really worried if I was posting small children, like, the things that could happen. And in that moment, I was like, no, you nailed it. Like, no, like, that's a really hot take, and like, yeah, there's a lot of discourse on the internet around that right now. And just the fact that a woman who has no knowledge on like anything that's happening in that universe was able to immediately come to this conclusion, and that was the very first thing she thought of, means there's absolutely no excuse for these people who make mommy vlogs and are engulfed in this world to still be doing things like this and it be monetized and accepted and okay. Like, it's really disgusting and truly terrible, especially that these platforms were so quick to demonetize those of us who are willing to speak up against it, but they don't want to demonetize the children who are being exploited, which really just proves where they lay in the issue. They're just money hungry. But guess what? I won't be silenced. My voice will continue to be heard. I will share it wherever I need to. So please follow along with me on that journey wherever it takes us. And thank you for hanging in there with me this far. I don't think that people should be able to get away with stuff like this.